Good morning, cadets. So we have started with the gravitation, and we discussed about the introduction of gravitation. Then we have learned about the Newton's law of gravitation. The force of attraction between any two masses is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance separating their centers. And this gravitational force F is center to center force, and it is always attractive in nature. Okay, since it is a force being a vector quantity, so gravitational force is also vector quantity. So we need to express the gravitational force in the vector form. Now, yesterday we wrote force between any two masses as center to center force, which is given by F equal to G m1 m2 upon r square, where r is the distance of separation between the two masses m1 and m2, right? Now this will not give us the complete description, because this is giving us only the magnitude. Since force is a vector quantity, we need to express this force in the vector form. So now we learn force of gravitation in vector form. Consider 2-point masses, right? 2-point masses m1 and m2, right? With respect to a system of coordinates. Suppose this is x-axis and this is y-axis. Consider a system of coordinates, and this is origin. Then we want to find out the gravitational force between these 2-point masses, which are denoted by m1 and m2 respectively. m1 and m2 respectively. So first we will draw the position vectors. m1 is at position vector r1 and m2 is at position vector r2. Right? Now, if you take the distance between these two, that gives us the displacement vector. Okay? So this is another vector, which is, through our previous knowledge, is written as r2 minus r1 vector, that is equal to r21 vector, directed from first particle to second particle. It is directed from first particle to second particle. So the unit vector which is directed from first particle to second particle is, I can write as r21 cap, a unit vector of magnitude 1 directed towards 2, from 1 to 2 is given by r21 cap. Okay, so here we can write the force of gravitation between these two particles, point masses. So force of gravitation, how do you write now? Now the point mass F1 pulls the point mass M2. Point mass M1 pulls the point mass M2 towards its center. As I told you, it is a center to center force. Similarly, M2 pulls M1 towards its center. M2 pulls M1 towards its center like this, and M1 pulls M2 towards its center. So we have to write this information in the form of equation. So let us first write the force exerted on one due to two. Gravitational force on one due to two. I will write as F12. Remember how to read it. F12, force on 1 due to 2. It is acting towards M2, right? So this I will write as G, by definition, by using Newton's law of gravitation, G m1 m2 divided by r21 square. See, the distance between them is r21 vector, r21 square, and it is directed towards m2. So unit vector directed towards M2 is R21 cap. Remember this. R21 cap. See here. Here the order is 1, 2. So the unit vector is 2, 1. If you want to write in the same order, then you have to write with negative sign. Therefore, this becomes G M1 M2 upon R21 square minus R12. What does it mean? Minus R12 is nothing but R12 is directed towards 1. So I can write here, this is M1, this is M2. Okay. So you know this is the vector directed towards second one. This unit vector is R21 cap. R21 cap. So this is what I have written, R21 cap. Okay. R21 cap can also be written as minus of R12, which is a negative of R12, because R12, if I write it, this is of same magnitude. R12 is of same magnitude directed towards 1. So this is unit vector R12. So minus of R12 is equal to R12. Okay, you can write here because R21 cap is equal to minus of R12 from the vector. This is understood. Similarly, now I can write what is F21? Gravitational force on to due to 1. So this can be written as gravitational force on to due to 1. F21 is equal to G same M1 M2 divided by R21 square. R21 square, R in this case it is R12 square, R12 square, because R12 square into cap unit vector R12 into unit vector R12. So what is the direction of R12? I have shown here. Force on 2 due to 1 is directed towards center of M1. Therefore, it is having unit vector R12 cap. R12 cap. So, if you want to maintain the same order, then I can write as same thing can be written as G M1 M2 upon R21 or R12 square. Square is just a scalar quantity. So I can write it as R21 square minus of R21 cap. Minus of R21 cap. So this implies, compare this equation, we call this equation number 2 and call this equation number 1 as 1, 2 as 1. So from 1 and 2, what do you conclude? From equation 1 and from equation 2, you see, I can write the same thing can be written as G M1 M2 R21 square into R21 cap, which is nothing but minus of F21. So from 1 and 2, from 1 and 2, we can write F12 is equal to minus of F21. So Newton's third law is also valid. Force of attraction exerted by 2 on 1 is equal and opposite to force exerted on 1 due to 2. So this is also Newton's third law. Newton's third law. Newton's third law is also tested here. So it is a mutual attractive force. Therefore, you can write gravitational force is an attractive force. Always always it is attractive force. The negative symbol of force. The negative symbol of force represents attractive nature. Negative symbol of the force represents attractive nature. So you will be learning more such kind of treatment in the next year when you learn electrostatics, 12th class. There we will be learning the force between two positive charges. The force between two positive charges is always repulsive force. In that case of repulsive force, the force is going to be positive. So remember, in the vector form, whenever you are writing attractive force, it will be always negative. When you are writing repulsive force, it will be always positive. So repulsive force is nothing but positive force conventionally, and attractive force is represented by negative force. So gravitational force is always negative force. So F12 is equal to minus F1 implies that the force of attraction between two masses is always mutual attractive force, and the force exerted by 1 on 2 is equal and opposite to force exerted by 2 on 1. Okay, so this is applicable for any masses in this universe, between any pair of masses in this universe, not only for point masses. Okay, now I will ask you one question. A stone is thrown upwards. You know, the stone falls back to the ground. Stone is of some mass m. Let us say the stone is of mass m2, and there is an attractive force between earth and the stone. That's why the stone falls to the ground. This is all known to us. Let us say earth is of mass m1. Earth is of mass m1. The stone is of mass m2, and the mass of stone is very, very small. That's why always the stone falls to the ground. Now the question will be asked: force is exerted by earth on the stone. Similarly, the force is exerted by stone on the earth, because both are of course different masses, both are masses only. Therefore, there exists a gravitational force between them. Like for example, this is a duster. When I leave it, the duster falls to the ground. Right? This is of mass m2 and the earth is of mass m1. Which one has more force? The question is, which one has more force? Is it the force exerted by earth on the duster is more, or force exerted by the duster on the force is more? This is a tricky question. But when you look at this equation, force on 1 due to 2 is equal and opposite. Force on 2 due to 1. Both are same forces. Force exerted by earth on the stone is equal and opposite to force exerted by stone on the earth. But the earth doesn't move towards the stone. Stone always falls to the ground. Stone always falls down to the ground, because mass of earth is so huge. It's of the order of 6 into 10 to the power of 24 kilogram. 6 into 10 to the power of 24 kilogram mass of the earth. Whereas mass of stone is hardly, let it be 1 kilogram or 2 kilogram. Right? Therefore, although we may say that, sir, the force of earth, gravitational force of earth is huge, it's not like that. The force exerted by earth on the stone is equal and opposite to force exerted by stone on the earth. Similarly, question will be asked: there is a gravitational interaction between sun and earth. Sun is a very huge mass compared to that of earth. Maybe more than 1,000,000 times mass of earth. It is calculated that the mass of sun is 333,000 times. 333,000 times means 3,33,000 times the mass of earth. Mass of sun is 3 lakhs I can write here. Mass of sun, if ms is mass of sun, it is 3,33,000 times mass of earth. The question will be asked, when there is interaction between the earth and the sun, whose gravitational force is more? Is it the sun exerts more force on earth, or earth exerts more force on sun? Both are exerting same force. Force exerted by sun on earth is equal and opposite to force exerted by earth on sun from this treatment. Right? But the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. Always the earth revolves around the sun, because the mass of sun is so huge, 3,33,000 times mass of earth. Therefore, there is no question that the sun will revolve around the earth. Okay? It is the mass that matters. So, the gravitational force is a mutual attractive force. It is always F12 is equal to minus of F1. Please understand this. Okay. Next, we will discuss about this constant, gravitational constant, which is called as universal gravitational constant. Its value is found out by Henry Cavendish. Remember this. Henry Cavendish is a great scientist who found out this value of G. 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. Newton meter square per kg square. Now let us discuss about the value of capital G. Now, how to define this universal gravitational constant? I told you in the previous video why it is called universal gravitational constant. If you take any two bodies in this universe, the gravitational constant is always same. Therefore, it is same value throughout the universe. Therefore, it is universal constant. It doesn't change, right? That value I will write it a little later. First, we will define what is gravitational constant. How to find out gravitational constant? Let both the masses be of same value, unit masses. Let m1 equal to m2 equal to 1, say 1 kg, and the distance of separation between them be 1 meter. The distance of separation between them be 1 meter. So if you substitute in this equation, then this is nothing but equation of Newton's law of gravitation. Then if you substitute F is equal to G into 1 divided by R square. 1 divided by 1. So F becomes equal to G. So this helps us to define what is universal gravitational constant. Universal gravitational constant is numerically equal to the gravitational force exerted between two bodies of unit mass separated by unit distance between their centers. Yes, that's how we define universal gravitational constant. So gravitational constant is numerically equal to force of gravitation, force of attraction, that is force of gravitational attraction between two masses of unit value. Unit value is 1 kg, whose distance of separation between their centers is also equal. So gravitational constant is numerically equal to the force of attraction between two masses of unit value whose distance of separation between their centers is also unit distance. So if it is expressed in meter, then we have to substitute F is equal to G. G is equal to F. Now, Henry Cavendish determined the value of G experimentally. Value of G experimentally he has found out. It is found out to be G equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. Newton meter square per kg square. Right? That experimental study is not there for your syllabus. So directly we take the value 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This value remains same, constant throughout the universe. Therefore, it is called as universal gravitational constant. Now, if m1 is equal to m2 equal to 1 kg and the distance of separation between those two unit masses is 1 meter, then gravitational constant is numerically equal to the force of attraction between them. Then how much will be the force? That force is equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton. 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton. So that is how we can find out and define force of gravitation. So what is the force between two masses of 1 kg each? Suppose these are the two masses of 1 kg each separated by 1 meter distance. Then we got the point G is equal to F. G is equal to F. How did you get this? We know that F is equal to G m1 m2 upon r square. So what is G from this? Then G is equal to F r square by m1 m2. F r square. Take this r square inside, it becomes F r square upon m1 m2. Now, if you substitute the value of m1 m2 as each 1 kg and distance as 1 meter, then G becomes equal to F. Then what is the value of G? I have just written. The value of G is 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton. So this is the force of attraction between the two bodies. Of 1 kg mass when they are separated by 1 meter distance. You can now think why the gravitational force is not observed under ordinary situation, for the objects of ordinary size. We cannot see any force of gravitation between two dusters. We cannot see a force of gravitation between two stones. Let them be of even 100 kg or 1000 kg each, they will not attract each other. The reason is the force of gravitation is very, very weak. It is of the order of 10 to the power of minus 11. And the masses are of the order of kilograms. So here, if you substitute this in that decimal form, it is going to be 0.00011 zeros, 667 Newton. So almost negligible force. But this force, although it is weakest known force among the nature. So remember, the gravitational force is the weakest of all the forces known in the nature. Weakest force in the nature. But see, this gravitational force plays a very vital role in the formation of solar system and in the formation of stars. The whole universe is held in a particular finite size, maybe finite or infinite. It is held in a finite size because of this weakest force, that is gravitational force. This is very interesting. Although the gravitational force is the weakest force of all the known forces in the nature, but it plays a very vital role in the formation of stars. Why do the planets revolve around the sun? Why do the satellites revolve around the planets? So answers for all these is the gravitational interaction and the gravitational force. So although it is the weakest force, but as the size of the mass, as the mass increases, the gravitational force increases. As the distance of separation between the masses decreases, gravitational force increases. That is the universal law of gravitation. That is what we have discussed. Now we have defined what is gravitational constant. Okay. Now we will define one more very important thing, that is acceleration due to gravity. So acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity is denoted by g. So first of all, what is gravity? First of all, let us define what is gravity. Then we shall define what is acceleration due to gravity. Gravity is the force of attraction exerted by the earth on all the objects present on the surface, on top of the surface of the earth or close to the surface of the earth. The force of attraction exerted by the earth on all the objects present on the surface of the earth or close to the surface of the earth, that is called as gravity. It is related to earth only. Gravity is related to earth. So that force of attraction exerted by the earth itself, force of attraction exerted by the earth on the objects on the surface of it, on it or just above it. So this force of attraction itself is also called as weight of the body. This itself is nothing but weight of the object. So we define the weight of the duster. For example, weight of the duster. How do we define? The force of attraction, the force of gravity exerted on it due to the pull of the earth towards the center of earth is called as the weight. That's how we define it. The weight of the object is defined as the force of attraction exerted by the earth on the objects towards its center. Towards its center. That itself is nothing but weight of the object. The weight of the object is nothing but force of attraction, that is gravitational force. So I can write it as G m e m upon r e square. This itself is the gravity, that is weight, that itself is the force of attraction. So pictorially I can show you, if this is the earth of mass, say me represents the mass of the earth, and if this is the radius of earth, right? If there is any stone, any object of mass small m, this is the mass small m on the surface of the earth, then the force of attraction exerted by the earth on all the objects, on the object on the surface of the earth is nothing but gravity. That itself is nothing but weight of the object. Weight of the object is now given by G m upon I square. So this is based on universal law of gravitation. Universal law of gravitation. So here G I have kept it as it is. M1 I have taken mass of earth. This I have taken it as M1, and M2 I have taken it as mass of object divided by RE square, where RE is the distance of this stone from the center of the earth. Distance of this stone from the center of the earth is nothing but radius of the earth. So this is how I get. This can be further written as, I am writing m first. M into GME upon RE square as one bracket. So that I have written this in another form. I can compare this with Newton's second law. What is Newton's second law? It says that m into A, mass into acceleration. So compare this Newton's second law with this. So this implies that A is equal to this bracket. Therefore, A is equal to GME upon RE square. Gme upon re square is the acceleration with which an object is falling towards the earth, towards the center of the earth. So that is what we call it as acceleration due to gravity g. Therefore, acceleration due to gravity g is denoted as Gme upon re square. So now we can define what is acceleration due to gravity. The acceleration set up in the body acceleration set up in the freely falling body acceleration set up in the freely falling body. Any object, when you leave it accelerates towards the ground, towards the center of the earth. That acceleration set up in the freely falling body due to the effect of gravity. Due to the effect of gravity alone, we consider only one force, that is Earth's gravitational force, that is gravity alone, is called as acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity. This you have learned even in the 9th standard. Same thing we have repeated. So if you substitute this value of g, we have value of g 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton, and mass of Earth is 6 into 10 to the power of 24 kilogram. It is 5.9 something. So let us take approximately 6 into 10 to the power of 24 kilogram, and radius of Earth is 6,400 kilometer. It is exactly 6,371 kilometer. So this can be written as 6.4 into 10 raised to 6 meter. So if you substitute this 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 into 6 into 10 to the power of 24 divided by 6.4 into 10 raised to 6 whole square. If you calculate this, you are getting 9.8 meter per second square. So this is what we take as almost constant value for those objects which are close to the surface of the earth, which are falling very close to the surface of the earth. This is what we call it as acceleration due to gravity. Okay. In the next video session, we will discuss about the factors on which the acceleration due to gravity depends. The acceleration due to gravity varies according to height, according to depth, and according to the rotation, the spin motion of